Welcome back to NTV News First Edition. Two major youth safety stories are raising tough questions for parents. The proposed ban on social media for children under 16 and the RNC's warning about the online group known as 764. Now, what do these developments really mean for our kids, our teenagers, and of course the digital spaces that they navigate every single day? Well, to help us break it all down, we're joined now by our clinical child psychologist, Dr. Janine Hubbard, for this week's Get Psyched. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, always happy to be here.
So, big news all this week. Federally, you know, the social media ban. When you look at this proposed ban, what's the psychological impact you think policymakers might be trying to address here?
Well, I'm really encouraged and optimistic. Devil will be in the details. But what they have really proposed is hey, social media platforms, show us that you can make this safer. Show us you can remove some of the more dangerous aspects. And you know what? We might be more open to, kind of a gradual access for younger people, which is what I have preached all along. We have to teach our kids how to use these tools, and just out-and-out bans do not work. Australia's demonstrated that. So figuring out ways to increase the safety measures and developmentally teach appropriate tools, I think is the way to go. And I think Canada's taken a really great tactic for that federally.
So if it didn't work, this out-and-out ban, what actually does work? Why doesn't the other plan work when it comes to keeping our teens and young people safe online? Because let's face it, they use all of these tools socially. This is their old phone call in the closet, like we would do, drag the cord around the kitchen. They text each other, they Snapchat each other. So how do we make this safe for them? What works while not cutting them off?
For sure, and I think that's an important element. I mean, at its mildest, it means they're spending more time on electronics and in their phones and in their rooms than perhaps other activities. But here's the big thing, and I had a wonderful tutorial earlier today on Roblox and the different age parameters that they have set up there. There's still some interesting glitches. Apparently, they will do, kind of a facial recognition and then give an estimate as to a child's age. The teenager I was talking to was grumbling because they classified him as several years younger. I believe the concerns are, it could go the other way. So in theory, a reasonable attempt to kind of limit and group kids according to age. Now, he then immediately proceeded to show me all the YouTube videos and all of the pages that tell you how to get around that. So there's always going to be workarounds. So here's the thing, and I don't want parents feeling scared. I mean, some of the news they've heard this week is really frightening. It's having responsible usage. When kids are really little, you either have no additional messaging or options available. When they're a little older, only people that they have physically met in person. I don't care if it's somebody's cousin or nephew or whatever, and you check in with them routinely. You ask, who are these people? How do you know them? And you work gradually on maybe expanding things a little bit, but they need to know you're going to be checking out that list. That piece is really, really important. And then this is why I have concerns about bans, and I really want to send this message. If things are prohibited, kids find ways around them and they get themselves in trouble, and then they feel like they can't tell anyone. It's I was doing something I wasn't supposed to, now mom's going to take away my phone, or I'm going to lose my gaming system. And again, those are important forms of communication. I look at it like conversations I think many of us either had as teenagers or have had with our teenagers around driving and alcohol and or parties, and with if you find yourself feeling unsafe, no questions asked, I'll get you out of it. I will help. I'll come get you. I'll send a friend. We will work on that. And it needs to be, if you think you are in trouble, if you think you've gotten in over your head, I'm not going to ground you for life. I'm not going to tear a strip off of you. Your safety is first and foremost the most important thing. We can work on some, negotiation and maybe some learning from errors, moving forward. But like the alcohol driving parties, if you feel unsafe, call. No questions.
I mean, you know, this RNC warning, pretty scary for parents. And Roblox, I have a daughter who plays Roblox. It's a really popular game online. And I think what's concerning maybe as well for parents is that there are these workarounds. And oftentimes our children are far more tech savvy than we are.
Yes.
So we can ask them for their passwords and hope that they give it to us. But there are sneaky little ways for them to get around things. So how can we be sure that our kids are protected, or that how can we be sure, you're a psychologist, how can we be sure that the kids, I guess, are being honest with us?
Listen, we can never be 100% sure, so a lot of it is having conversations with your kids, normalizing the, yeah, you know what, this is stuff that we're all figuring out. We do make mistakes. Sometimes they're little ones, sometimes they're bigger ones, but have those conversations. Spend the time. I know it drives you nuts, but spend the time watching your kid play and find out, what do they enjoy about it? Like, engage in some of that discussion. Find out a little bit more about, again, who are they engaging with? With really little kids, you don't want to scare them, but it's kind of that same, you know, stranger danger piece on things, but some of that younger really enforcing some of the controls and routinely checking in. But it is a matter of balancing. It is important socially. In some ways, it's like saying, okay, you know what? I'm sending you over to your friend's house for their sleepover because I know their parents and I know your friend. There are a couple kids at that party that I don't know. And there's an element of trust, not trust there. And so sometimes it's listening to your parent gut. It's also knowing your kid. Listen, there are some kids who have maturity that, you know what? I mean, I know we've suggested 16. I know 16-year-olds who are not mature enough or responsible enough for kind of the level of independence. And I know 10 and 12-year-olds who have so much common sense and ability to follow rules that they'd probably be fine. So I wish I could give guarantees. Biggest thing is keep lines of communication open with your kids. Be non-judgmental. Remember, you know, if they come to you with some challenges, don't immediately leap to the punishment of you are never talking on your phone ever again, which I know is the internal monologue, but we need to know that, again, it's a learning process for all of us.
Well, Dr. Hubbard, great advice there. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks.